We're live.
In three,
Hey.
two, pause, we're live. There was no one.
That was it.
You jerk.
I did the one. I said
You said
one.
one?
Yeah, in my head
Really?
silently.
That's useful to me. All right. Well, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody to another episode of Don't Worry Wednesday, the show where we talk to you guys about whatever's on your mind. Oftentimes whatever's worrying you, whatever you've been thinking about, whatever your concerns are, and we attempt to share with you our experiences in those things. Of course, we aren't psychologists or anything along that field, but we lived lives. We failed enough to figure out, hey, that don't do that, and then we've succeeded some too, and hopefully we can share that with you as well. But ultimately, we're here to be friends. A lot of times, you guys know what to do. You guys can figure out how to get through your own problems, but a lot of times it helps speed things up when you have someone who can share with you a different perspective or share with you a little bit of encouragement, and just give you that extra boost to kick your butt and get you going. So that's what we're here today to do. You can.
We're here to kick your butt.
We're here to kick your butt with kindness. It feels like a pillow smacking your backside, and you're like, hey, that doesn't feel so bad. But anyways, yeah, if you want to contribute, we would love you to do so. Please write in the chat as much as you want. If you have a concern or a topic you'd like to share, put it in the chat. You can also send a message to us through the forums. Put a topic there at at bss.studio. You can send us an email at dww@bss.studio, or you can message us on Discord or whatever. Princess is handling a lot of it for us, so thank you, Princess, for being so awesome. Princess is also the one that reads the chat out, or reads the topics out for us. So in case you've been wondering, that's her beautiful voice, not ours. But yeah, welcome everybody. How you guys doing? How you doing, Joe?
I'm fantastic. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great, thanks. Did you have any fun experiences today?
Did I have any fun experiences today? Of course, I have fun experiences every day.
Good.
Yeah, I actually, it's interesting. I dropped off my car to be repaired today, which is always a fun time, right? But they gave me a loaner car there because I took it to a dealership because it was like a recall repair thing, right? So they're like, oh yeah, we got a loaner. And so I was like,
that's
sweet.
Nice.
So it's like a brand new, like 2021, like Subaru Outback that I'm driving, right? But here's the thing. There was no like car charger thing. It was all just USB.
Oh.
So now I didn't have a phone charger. So I actually like had to go buy a phone charger. And so I go to the gas station, right? And the phone charger's there, like the little USB, just a plain old USB to USB-C cable, was like $26.
Whoa, that's no. You should not have to pay that much.
I know. I'm like, oh my goodness. So
what
I was like,
earth?
no way. So I ended up going to this party store because they had like Boost Mobile, like they're like, hey, we sell Boost Mobile at this party store. And so I go in there and they had all these accessories and everything, and I got it for 12. So I was like,
That's better.
I'll take it.
You can order them online for like $3 if you order them in
I
package,
know. Well, and I've got like 3 of them sitting like 10 feet from me.
Oh, but you didn't have time, right?
But I didn't have them in my
home.
car.
Oof. Did you make money that day?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Did you make more than $17?
I did.
Okay, good. That's all that matters.
I had a big day. Yes, I had a big inspections day, so that was all right. But yeah, so that was fun today. Although it's going to be even more exciting because in 2 days, I finally test for my black belt in Taekwondo. This has been a long,
that's awesome
journey.
Yeah. How long have you been doing Taekwondo now?
I think this is 3 or 4 years, somewhere around there.
I thought it was like 3 or 4. Wasn't sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's an amazing commitment. It's awesome that you.
It is. It's like, well, it's weird because it's kind of like, it's like the end of a journey, But really what it is, it's like unlocking the door to a whole new world
Yeah.
of training, right? So like
Hmm.
it's a lot of people say you haven't even started until you're a black belt, and then your training really begins, because then you get to do all the crazy cool stuff. But do I want to spar sometime? I would love to spar, but we don't get to spar. Social distancing.
Yeah, right? There's no way to spar without touching each other.
I know. So like it's going to be a really interesting black belt test. I don't actually get to spar anybody. I just have to do like a bunch of sparring stuff to the
Yeah,
air.
well, it would be, I mean, I could imagine people like wrapped in like 6 inches of like padding and like their faces all covered up and they're like, ugh, ugh, so that we don't get the virus. Um,
Right, but then how do you
yeah,
do that?
yeah, no, it doesn't work.
Yep. So that's going to be kind of cool. But anyway, enough about my cool
Cool.
experiences.
Yeah.
This show isn't about me.
Yeah, this show is about you guys. Thanks for this story and thanks for catching us up with your life. I'm excited about today. Wednesdays are one of my favorite days. So let's get into it. Hey.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'm gonna go through the list of who has submitted topics in the past. Again, if you want to submit a topic, you can just write one here with us or put one on the forums or send us anonymously one by email. But I'm going to run through these. And if you are here, let us know. Just write in the chat, whatever you like. That's spelled W-H. You know how to spell whatever you like. But feel free to do that.
I don't know how to spell that.
You don't know?
Is
Okay.
that a one word?
Whatever you like?
Yeah.
That is a 2-word thing.
A 2-word word. Whatever you like.
Yeah, whatever you like.
Okay.
Whatever you like. 2 words. Royal Sevlev SK Awkward /Pika, Jesse, Khan Vulcan, Sparrow, Amira, Random, Kendra, and Baka Breaker. If any of you are here, which I know some of you are, again, just write those 2 words in the chat.
Whatever you like. Those 2 words.
Whatever you like. Whatever you like. However that's separated out, you can figure it out. Okay, I'm getting Box. Box is present. Yeah, we can see Baka Breaker is here.
You say that reminds me of there's a Chinese restaurant in my city. It's called You Like. It's the letter U, like.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yep.
It's all capital letters or?
Yep, all capital letters. You like.
You like. Was it spaced out like that, or is it just all
just
one?
like yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Just like that. You like Chinese food.
You like Chinese food. That's awesome. I love it. Oh, Random is here. Unfortunately, I can't stay today. Lots of work to do. Come to say hello. Oh man, Random, do you have enough time to stay for just your topic, or should we hold off till next week? It's fine if we have to hold off. Just curious. Hey, Jono, how's it going?
Jono.
Pear's here as well. Nice. Ash, fantastic. Marshmallow's here. Subaru, nice. Shade, got quite a few people here. This is great. Okay. Well, Baka Breaker is here. I think Random, if you can't stay, it's all good. Have a good one, man. Nah, it's okay. I'll come next week. Cool. Perfect. We'll get you next week then. Well, we're gonna start with Baka Breaker. Baka Breaker, you have 2 currently. I'm gonna ask you which one you like to have us cover. So we've got the first one that you posted on December 2nd called Staying Focused. And the next one that you posted on December 9th, Procrastination. So those are, I mean, of course, similar topics, but yes. Which one of those would you like us to cover? Were they written by you?
Baka says either one.
Okay, either one. Well, let's just do it in order then. I'm going to do Staying Focused.
Hey, Princess already posted the link. Now I can click it.
Yeah, now you can
do
copy
my thing.
Click it and copy it and paste it back into the chat. In case, for some reason, Um, hers didn't work.
Although
You know.
apparently mine didn't come through as a link.
Oh, that's
That's
weird.
interesting.
Maybe YouTube's caught on to your
YouTube's
shenanigans.
like, they're like, yeah.
N- That's not.
uh,
No, I did
Pear
it.
had a question.
Oh, oh, did you have a question, Pear? Did I miss it? Hold on.
Topic is how many virtual hugs is a healthy amount to give or receive? I'm currently struggling with this. How many virtual
Oh,
hugs is a healthy amount? That's a really great question. Because virtual
um,
hugs, oh my gosh, at
um,
least 175,000.
175 at least. 1,000? Whoa. What's the time frame on this? How many and how many seconds or minutes? What's the? Because I mean, you have a limit.
I think day. Oh wait, no, it's the question for the day. I was thinking how many virtual hugs in a day, but no, infinity actually. Then
Oh, I was gonna
per day.
ask. Well, kind of the answer is basically how fast can you type?
Mm-hmm.
Um, there you go. Also, try not to annoy people. If you can sense that you might be annoying somebody, that might be a time to stop.
Yes, that's true. You might have to
They're
switch
getting annoyed.
to a
Yeah.
different chat area.
Yeah. Sometimes you might just through in the middle of your hug, just be like, by the way, let me know, be honest. Am I annoying you? Hug, 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 hug. And then um, if they respond yes, then it's time to stop probably. That's true. If you annoy people by existing,
I do
then
that.
yeah, there's
I do
nothing you
that.
can do.
I do
Yeah,
that.
I think we all do that.
Yeah.
We all do that. So that's nothing new.
And Harmony,
Harmony,
absolutely, you can ask a question.
yes, please. We'd love for you to ask a question. Meanwhile, while you get your question started, let's do Baka Breakers.
Okay.
Since we promised we would do that. So this is from Baka Breaker. It's titled "Staying Focused," and Princess is going to do the honors of reading it for us.
With the pandemic, I found it harder to stay positive and focused. My school has gone full distance, and I find it hard to do my schoolwork. And now that I'm at home, it's harder to stay positive. I can't always make my friends smile. Do you have any advice for me to stay focused and positive? From Baka Breaker.
Yeah. Of course that is difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's this sense of camaraderie and wow, that came out of my mouth weird. Camaraderie and friendship that comes from being with people physically, right? I know there were months where I would talk to Joe and not see him until like 4 or 5 months later, and we'd meet in person, and it's like a whole nother vibe. It's a whole nother atmosphere, and it's a lot of fun. So I totally understand that feeling of like, not being with your friends in person, and that kind of you're not able to make them smile as much, and so therefore you're not as smiling, as happy and positive. That energy kind of it dissipates somewhere, and you're like, where is it? And I think you're kind of on the right track here because a lot of times you find happiness by giving people happiness, right? I mean, it's super cliche, but giving happiness makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can't find the realm to give it, there's no way for you to give happy. You can't feel happy as easy, right? There's of course things you can do, but I totally understand that. Like, it's hard to focus on things in school, hard to focus on your homework and all of that kind of stuff when you're not in a positive state of mind. So, hopefully, Joe and I can assist you in giving you some ideas and ways that you can kind of change your attitude so that you can start to help yourself focus a little bit more and things like that. But I'm interested to see what Joe has to say about this. So, go ahead, Joe.
This is a very, very good topic, and this is one that I struggle with still to this day. In fact, I was kind of beating myself up this morning during my morning routine because it took me too long because I couldn't focus while I was doing my morning routine. I kept getting distracted by thoughts, And you've heard my classic, I know Ryan has talked about this too, that, when I'll say, thank you, you're dismissed. Like a thought comes into my head and I'll dismiss it. But even I have these techniques to employ and I still fail. Right? So I'm not perfect at this. I'm still learning this. And it can be really hard. And then when you can't focus, it's easy to beat yourself up. And then your attitude goes from positive to negative, and then you start to kind of just, go down and down and down and down and down. And it can be really, really difficult to deal with. So there are some things that let's see. How do I want to approach this? All right. Let's start with staying positive, okay? So how do you stay positive when things are hard, when things, things aren't exactly how you want them to be, which they never really are anyway, right? So because they always could be better and more to our liking. But so how do you stay positive when things are difficult like that, and when we can't be around our friends, or maybe you've got some kind of family crisis going on. Maybe there's a health crisis going on. Maybe there's, who knows? There's just challenges. One thing that's going to be true about life for all of us is that there will be challenges. From now until we're done, we will face challenges to some degree. And sometimes they'll be small, and sometimes they'll be big, and sometimes they'll be really, really hard, and sometimes they'll be stressful. Sometimes they'll, be physically painful. Sometimes they'll just be mentally taxing, but we will face challenges. So how do you stay positive throughout that time? Well, one thing, it's very interesting. I was just had a conversation with my mom about this, either earlier today or maybe yesterday. I don't remember. But I was talking about, she was talking about some challenges that some people she knew was going through. And I was like, oh man, I just remember the 5-minute rule, when I deal with some kind of a challenge like that. And it's like, okay, what's the 5-minute rule? And I'm like, well, okay, so you set a timer, and you have 5 minutes to be upset about whatever's going on, and to, be mad and throw a temper tantrum and punch stuff and yell and cry and scream and, whatever you want to do. You got 5 minutes. And then when the timer is up, you stop and you say 3 words. Can't change it. I know it sounded like 2 words, but it's 3. Can't change it. And because really, if something happens, we can't go back and change that it happened. We can redeem it. We can make a better situation because of it. There's all kinds of things we can do in response to it, but we can't go back and change it. So right now, you're socially distanced, you're full distance at school. So now you're doing remote learning. That's got its own set of challenges, and it's stressful. And I remember I was listening in, I was home when one of my sons was doing remote learning, and one of his teachers was kind of lamenting all of this remote learning. And I think what the teacher was trying to do was to relate to the students and their challenge, right? And I thought that was very admirable, but at the same time, it kind of just feeds the negative attitude, if you know what I mean. So it's just kind of like feeding that, now we all can be really, really upset about this. But we can't change the fact that it's here. So what do we do now? And this is where it can get creative. And if you finally don't allow yourself to be upset anymore, and you're like, okay, I'm done being upset. Now it's time to just be like, I can't change the situation. What do I do now? And it's amazing. Your mind will come up with ways to cope Your mind will come up with ways to enhance whatever it is that you're dealing with. Your mind will come up with ways to make it better. But that's only if you're not stuck down in the mud, right? If you're down there just thinking about how bad it is, you're not going to come up with any solutions. You're just going to be continuing to come up with more negative stuff and, stuff like that. So if you set a time limit on your negative talk, self-talk, whatever, and then at that point, you just resign yourself to it and say, I can't change this. I'm not going to resist it anymore. Let's embrace it. This is the situation. And what happens is your mind will go to work to make it livable. And then once it's livable, your mind will go to work on how to make it better. And maybe you'll have an idea that you can share with your classmates, with your teachers. Who knows? Maybe there'll be something that you come up with on a way that you're handling this. Then when someone else is struggling, you would have a way to deal with it. And probably one of the greatest saviors of my attitude when I'm dealing with a struggle, one of the best things that I've found works for me is when I remind myself that struggles are the only way we get stronger. Challenges are the only way we get stronger. And I don't really know anybody who wants to go through life and think, well, I just want to be weak. I just want to, not be able to handle stuff, but it's interesting because the thing we don't like, the thing we don't want, that's the pathway to the strength that we want. We look up to people who are strong, and then you find out their background story and you find out all the challenges and difficulties they went through to get there. And it's like, oh, I don't know if I could go through all that. But the beautiful thing is, God never gives you more than you can handle. And whatever it is that you're facing, you are equipped to handle it. You might just not really realize how yet. But you can. And so that's where I'm going to leave it for right now. I know I didn't cover the focus part, but I wanted to kind of really dig into that positive part because that can switch everything. I read this book one time called Attitude is Everything. And whether you're staying focused or not, your attitude will make a huge difference in your ability to do that. And so that's why I really wanted to nail that. And I'm going to let Ryan talk, and then maybe I can come back and we can talk about focus a little bit too. But maybe Ryan has some cool stuff about focus that to talk about. So,
I can try.
Anyway, Ryan, go for it.
Yeah. So, obviously I second everything Joe said. It makes a huge difference if your attitude sets the pace for your day as opposed to the day setting your pace for your attitude. I think it's important to be able to gain the strength of self-control. There's something called emotional control or emotional intelligence, or emotional intelligence quotient, or whatever that is, which is, or EQ instead of IQ. Instead of intelligence quotient, is that the way to pronounce that?
Emotional.
Yeah.
EQ is the emotional quotient.
Yeah, right. So it's ultimately a matter of how well do you control your emotions / your attitude. And you know what? We all have different struggles in this area. We all have different things that get to us. Some of us get angry really easy. Some of us get lazy really easily. We all have things that we have to figure out within ourselves and how to do better at, right? So if you're having trouble doing schoolwork because, you're just kind of set in this negative mindset and you think about schoolwork and you're just drained, right? And you're just like, I don't want to do it. And you allow that feeling of I don't want to do it to get over you, to have control over you and decide for you that you're not going to. That stinks. And I can relate to that. Here's some tips for how to kind of avoid that and how to get out of that. Tip 1, define your space. So I've heard this as a suggestion for doing better work. I've also heard this as a suggestion for prayer, if you want to go into prayer often, and many other things. Meditation, instead of prayer, you can do meditation, etc. But find a space in your home which you dedicate solely to work, and make sure that area that you keep it clean, not cluttered, right? I think for a lot of people, this doesn't really include myself, but for a lot of people, the more clutter that there is around their space, the more cluttered their mind is, and less it works for them. The more easy it is to get carried away in some random tangent. But if their space is clean, they feel a lot more focused. So find a place in your home and say, this is my workplace. And then this over here, this is my meditation place or my prayer place. This over here is my fun place, right? What happens is when we go to our workplace, our mind, you keep away the toys, right? You keep away the things that can distract you or make you, give you more of a reason to not be active at your work, right? And in that space, you just keep your work stuff, right? So when you're there, you have a mindset of like, okay, I'm in the place where I work, so I will work because I have nothing else to do. I think that that's important for a lot of people. That's why they also have prayer corners. Like people have put places in their house where it's just for prayer, because it helps them to stay on track and not get distracted about the things around them. And it helps them when they go to that area that they feel more inclined and feel like they're in a place where prayer is appropriate. And so you can do that for your workplace too. On top of that, just like Joe said, your attitude really, and you have said yourself, your attitude really decides how well you're going to do at working. So here's some things that you can do that help your work. Okay. Reward yourself. If you work without rewarding yourself, right, it's going to be more painful. It's going to continue to get more and more painful. If work itself is not rewarding, you need to reward yourself for your work. Work itself should be rewarding, right? Because it is. Once you finish, you feel that sense of joy. But if you are lacking in that, then you need to find a way to reward yourself, because you are by nature an animal. And how do we train all animals, whether they're a cat or a dog or a dolphin? Doesn't matter. We train them by how we act towards them in rewarding or withholding a reward based on their behavior, right? There's this study that they did for what's the best way to train a dog. And they found that there's 4 types of ways that you can train a dog. Okay, you can train them by rewarding them or withholding a reward, by treating them negatively or withholding a negative treatment, right? So withholding a negative treatment is like, I smack my dog upside the head, right? That's animal abuse, so don't do it. But like, that's what I do constantly. But when it did something right, I stop, right? They found that is not helpful. They found that type of system doesn't work well for animals. It doesn't train them to be good animals. It trains them to listen to you and cower, but doesn't train them to be good. So that's not a good option. It doesn't feed their desire. It only limits their desire, right? That's not what you want. You don't want to limit your desire to do your work, or limit your desire to do everything but work. What you want to do is you want to feed your desire to work, right? So withholding punishment, as they found, is not very effective. Punishing, they find, can be somewhat effective, but they find more effective is withholding rewards and giving rewards. So that in human language is called delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is the act of withholding from reward until you believe you've earned it. So for example, they do this a lot in sales. Like I'm going to go door to door. I'm a door-to-door salesman. And once I get to 20 houses, I will eat this candy bar. I've already bought it, right? But I'm not allowed to eat it until I do 20 houses. Or it's like, hey, I need to make this amount of money. Like I need to make at least $100,000 before I start investing in this car. I could get a loan from the bank and buy the car right now. But if I practice delayed gratification, it helps my finances and it actually causes me to want to work harder to get that money, which means I'll earn more money faster. And when I get it, you don't have that feeling of regret immediately. Like if you get a loan to get a car, you have this, oh, great, I'm in debt. This is not good. That regret can set in and it can make you feel down and stop working hard because you just have that feeling of negativity. But if you delay your gratification, it makes you feel like, wow, I earned this car. It makes you proud of yourself and that keeps your positivity up. So it's important to reward yourself for your work. So how can you do that? You can do that with food. You can say, okay, I'll get myself a treat if I finish these many problems. So I'm going to start with half of my homework. Once I complete half of my homework, I'm going to go get a snack and I've earned it. But I'm only eat half of the snack. Once I finish the rest of the homework, then I'll eat the rest of that snack and I'll let it sit on the counter in front of me, but it'll remind me like, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. Man, it looks good. All right, I can do this, and then you type it out and then you give yourself a reward after you've finished. One thing that I used to do, my mom had me do when I was little was run around the house. I would get a quarter way done with my homework. And my mom would say, all right, now what you need to do is you need to go run around the house 4 laps. And for me, that was really great because it was a break from my homework. It was an ability to get my energy out, right? And I wasn't even like an active person. I'm not like, yeah, I love activity. I love sports. No, it's just the fact that I got to go away from my homework, do something like be silly, run around for a couple of minutes and come back feeling a little bit more refreshed, right? And that was great. That helped me a ton. Making homework fun is important, but you can't always do that. But what you can do is you can give yourself a reward. Now, I would say talk to your parents about this. If your parents are present, just say, hey, I'm doing this method to help me with my homework. So don't be concerned that I'm taking this candy bar. The candy bar is to help me do my homework. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but this is my plan. But it's effective. So it helps. What it does in your mind is the same thing it does for the animals. And it does this. When an animal thinks about the task that you're giving it, which you're going to reward it for, like, for example, when you train a dog to shake, you go, shake, and it doesn't know what you want until you cause it to happen a couple of times and you give it a treat. And then soon enough, you can say shake, and it's like very willing to give you its hand to shake. Why? Because it wants that treat. Because the act of shaking is now pleasant. Because it sends into their mind this idea of, hey, these are good things. They are things that make me happy and feel good. So when someone asks me to shake, I will love to shake, even if there's no treat, because I know, or because the feelings that come across my brain, the chemicals that are released when someone says shake, even if there's no treat involved, just give me the feel goods. So I will gladly shake your hand, even if you didn't have a treat prepared for me. And that's what you're programming yourself to do for your work. You say, I get that work feels good. And I've trained my mind to recognize that work is good and that the reward from there is good too. So you can start to train yourself. And it's kind of weird because you're training yourself like you would train a dog, but it works because our minds are programmed to work that way. But anyways, I hope that's some helpful tips. 1, find a working space, and 2, reward yourself for your work. And give yourself those goals, those like, hey, I just got to get halfway done and I can have this snack, or I can run around the house, or I can go play 30 minutes of a video game, or whatever it is. Make sure you stick to it, because otherwise, if you like, okay, I'll play 30 minutes of video game and you go for like 3 hours, you're not going to feel proud of yourself. It's not going to help you. So make sure you stick to your reward and you are strict on it, because strictness actually creates great health in your mind. So anyways, back to you, Joe.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I love what you were saying. I love the idea of rewarding yourself, and I love what your mom had you do. You know, like go run around the house. It's kind of like the reward of some physical activity, because really physical activity can clear up things. It's not always something we want to do. And I see, Baka, you put in here, doing physical activity more often has helped my mental health lately. Just the thing of trying not to get distracted. And so I absolutely, I can totally understand, because I've promoted this a lot, you know, how important it is to have physical activity and how much that can help our mental health, like you were talking about, because it can. And so just for instance, today, so I'm getting ready for my black belt test, right? On Friday. And a part of that is a fitness test, right? So you have, it used to be, they just changed it like halfway through this like cycle. So like 3 weeks ago, they just changed how they're going to do the fitness test now from now on. And it's like, oh, really? So it used to be 30 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and then a bunch of kick combination, punch kick combination, right? Like, so you've got all these different things, and you've got 5 minutes to complete all of this stuff, right? So that's how it used to be. Like, they'd set a timer, and you got 5 minutes, and get done with all that stuff, right? So always, I was done after 30 push-ups. But now they've changed it. Now they set a timer and they say, okay, you're going to do push-ups for 1 minute. You're going to do sit-ups for 1 minute. You're going to do this kick combination for 1 minute. You're going to do this punch kick combo for 1 minute. You're going to do this punch combo for 1 minute, right? And so so now everything's 1 minute. Now for me, for me, 30 push-ups and I'm done with push-ups. And I don't really like doing push-ups. They're painful. So I want to get done as quickly as possible. And so I'll get done with my 30 push-ups in like 30 seconds. Right?
Nice. But just a real quick question. The way that you build muscles, isn't it worse to go fast in your push-ups than to go really slow?
Yes and no.
Okay.
To build,
I'll settle for that.
Okay. It's best when you're doing, for instance, like when you're doing the contraction. So on a push-up, when you're pushing, you go fast. When you're going back down, you go slow.
Oh,
when you push, you
okay,
explode the push and then slow back to the rest, right? So that's one of the best ways to build strength. However, now they've changed it, and so now I got to do a minute of push-ups. And so I started trying this, and I'm like, I got to do, so I do 30, and then I would like die. Because I'm so used to the line being 30, right? And so I'd be like, 30, 31.
That's amazing.
32. And I'm sure there's a mental thing going on there as well. So here's what I was doing, and sometimes you can have some kind of fitness goal along with what you're doing with your schoolwork. Because right now also I'm trying to finish an album. We're in the mastering phase of an album that's going to be released on New Year's Eve, and so I'm working on this, trying to get it done. And once I get a master done, once I get a song done, then I have to export it, and that usually takes 2 minutes or so. And so then what I would do, I would work on this song, and I would hit export, and then I've got a couple minutes where I'm just going to be waiting. So then I would just go and do as many push-ups as I possibly could until I couldn't do anymore. And then I would get up and I'd get back to work and I would master the next song, and I'd work on that for the time being, and get that finished up. And then when I hit export, boom, okay, I got a couple minutes. Time to go do as many push-ups as I possibly can until I fail, right? Until I cannot do another one. And then, just repeat that. Then today, so I've been doing that for a few days, But today I had an appointment that I had to get to. I had to drop my car off at 8:30 in the morning. Now that adds a whole new dimension when you have a time limit. So now I have to limit myself on how long I'm going to take in each of these processes, because I'm like, I got X amount to get done. It's got to be done today. I have this amount of time to do it. I have to space that time out properly. And so I gave myself a certain amount of time, and I set that timer, and I just keep an eye on it. And I'm like, okay, I got to be finished. Now, sometimes people are like, well, I don't want to rush the creative process. And there is some truth to that. However, I've found that I can be way more productive with a time limit. And so if you find yourself being distracted, try setting a timer. No matter how much you get done. Now, it depends. Sometimes you can go and you'd be like, okay, I got to get this page done, and then I'm going to go do something. I'm going to reward myself. That's great. And sometimes that can work. And there are other times when maybe you've got a really big amount. And so I would encourage you at that point in time, set a timer. I'm going to work on this for 25 minutes. And then after that, I'm getting a reward. And so you can do it by time as well. So that's kind of what I was getting at with the whole story of the push-ups and stuff, like throwing in the physical activity. But then today I had the timer aspect because I had to be done by a certain time. But anyway, those are some ways that I've found that help me to stay focused. So that's all I got. Ryan?
Nice.
Back to you.
I don't have anything more. So I hope that that's enough to help give you some ideas. Obviously, we can't tell you exactly what's going to work for you, but those are some ideas that you can try out, and hopefully you find some success with them. But yeah, Baka, thank you so much. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask. But yeah, we appreciate that you asked, and hopefully that'll help more than just you. I mean, I think that's something that we all kind of struggle with, right? We all have this thing of like this desire not to do the work that we're supposed to do, just because it's usually not that fun. But work can be very rewarding. Even if it's something that you don't enjoy doing, it can make you feel very good, and it can really improve who you are as a human being. It's dignifying to work, right? When we work, we prove that we can give to the world, right? And I think that's important. Even though it's something like homework, and it's like, I'm not doing anything for everybody. I'm just getting a grade on this so they can judge me, and that's annoying. And I totally get it. But at the same time, you are training yourself to be a good worker later in life. And I think that's actually important. Whether or not the information that you're gaining at this moment is going to help you later in life, the work ethic is going to help you later in life regardless. That's always going to be true. So,
and the more you do it, the more fun it gets to work.
Yeah, that's true. The more you do it, the more interesting it can become. So, but yeah, way more than expected. Awesome. Well, fantastic. Thank you for submitting again.
We'll over deliver.
Over deliver. So I guess we're ready for the next one. Did we get anything new from? I know that some people had some questions, and I wasn't sure if they were recorded or if they were actually even asked.
I think Marshmallow
had a question, right? Didn't he?
Said something. I think Marshmallow put something in the chat, or it was going in there. I don't know if it made it to anywhere. Princess, did you see that by any chance?
Yes, it's being updated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In the queue part.
Oh, okay.
It's there.
You're amazing.
I see it.
Amazing.
Okay. You're amazing.
Princess.
Yeah.
Oh, Marsh isn't back yet. Okay, Marsh is gone for right
now. Marshmallow's not back yet? Okay. I'm gonna run through the list again in case anybody's here. If I say your name, please put in the chat. Pat for the he's kind of being eaten. Mine is anyways. So we've got his, which is fine. But
he's just hanging there. He's like, He's strapped in by my mic cable.
Oh
no!
I got a little zergling, and he was eating Detective.
No, he was hugging Detective.
Oh, he's hugging him. Yes, he's hugging him
with his mouth.
Well, he doesn't have much of an look at how nubby his hands are.
Yeah.
Like, how can he hug with that? So he's the only real way to hug is with your mouth.
That's true. I've been hugged by dogs like that before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
With their mouths.
Yeah. It's
amazing. Sometimes painful.
Sometimes a little painful, but it's all right. You know they mean well.
Sometimes they don't.
Yeah, sometimes they don't. Yeah, that's true. One time, I was doing an inspection. I went over to this house and I opened up this gate. I saw the dog in there. I was like, oh, there's a dog in there. Dog seems friendly. Okay, cool. So I opened the gate and then immediately, and I'm not kidding, he ripped a hole in my jeans where my kneecap is, a perfect square. And I was like, what? My jeans just came off in a perfect square patch. and then I closed the gate. I just closed the gate immediately and locked it. And they're like, yep, well, you're not getting your papers, whoever you are. You can receive them at your gate. So I left the papers at their gate and I was like, nope, not going in there.
Yeah.
But I was impressed because I was like, a perfect square got ripped out of my jeans. That was weird. Like fabric by fabric. Like not even a single bit of not squareness.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I find now anymore that seeing a dog in the yard, I don't care how big or little the dog is, I'll take a picture of the dog and say there was a dog in the yard. I didn't approach the house.
That's funny. I mean, it was weird actually, because I never had a problem with any dogs biting me or barking at me or anything until that dog, right? And then after that dog, I had like the next 6 dogs tried to attack me. And I was like, what is going on? This is weird. And then after there was one friendly dog, that was it. And then one friendly dog, and then none of the rest of the dogs were ever mean to me again. I was like, what on earth? What? It's so weird. It's like they can read my mind, kind of, that I got into a fight with another dog recently, and then they just kind of kept on going with it. I'm not sure. It was very strange. But anyhow, I think I was being followed by a demon. That's probably what it was. It was upsetting the dogs. Yeah.
That could be.
So I've got Royal, Sevlev, SK, Awkward / Pika, Jesse, Khan Vulcan, Sparrow, Amira, Random, Kendra, and we do have another one, Baka Breaker, but hopefully Marshmallow will come back. Otherwise, Baka Breaker, we can do yours again if you'd like.
Do the next one.
Yeah, and just go into the next one.
We've been asked if we know Five Nights at Freddy's. I know what it is. I've never played it. It kind of scares me, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, it's a horror game, so it is supposed to scare you. I've watched some of it, but wasn't really super interested. The only amount I watched was when I was with Einstein. He was playing the game through, and that was when I first met him.
Some people really like being scared. I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, it's a thrill, right? So people like the thrill.
Sure. I understand.
I guess.
I knew there was this coworker I had who she always talked about she really liked horror movies, right? Mm-hmm. And that was the only kind of movies she ever watched. She was like, I just watch horror movies. And I'm like, really? That's very interesting. And I'm like, and this was the other weird thing. She was like, I never watch a movie more than once.
Oh, okay. So there aren't that many horror movies, though. Well, it's fine. You don't have to watch movies a lot.
There are a lot of bad horror movies.
Yeah.
There are a lot of
that's
old,
what there are.
Like B horror movies and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really been afraid of horror movies. I've watched some. Only one of them, like I could remember, actually kept me awake at night, and But other than that, I was like, they don't scare me, and I think because of that, I'm not attracted to them. Mm-hmm. It's not like I wanted to be scared in the first place, though. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan. I don't hate them, though. I mean, they can be some of them. Here's the difference. Some of them can be really interesting, when you have like a horror movie that's like a psychological horror movie, so it's like it's not just about being gory or scary, it's about trying to identify with the nature of, okay, this is the scenario, what do you do? You know, what do the people do? How do the different personalities react and stuff like that? And it can become really interesting because you're dealing with the psychological side, not so much just the scare factor. And that I can kind of appreciate.
We're going to put you in a situation with a little 2-foot doll with a knife, and the doll comes to life and is trying to stab you. What do you do?
Take the knife away? I mean, can it really hurt you if you do that?
Can find a way. It's Chucky.
It's Chucky. Yeah. My gosh.
When did this turn into Chucky?
Just now.
Just now.
I don't know. I can't imagine that a 2-foot tall doll is going to be stronger than me, but whatever.
It is if it's Chucky.
Apparently Chucky's a beast on the inside. He's 99% muscle, 1% fabric.
I don't know if there's the fabric. Well, he's got the clothes on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's got some clothes on, so he's got like a plastic face, right? So
yeah. You know, I think my first ever experience with a horror movie was Pet Sematary. And it freaked me out, man.
I remember the first like horror stuff I ever watched was like Goosebumps. Yeah, Goosebumps.
Goosebumps,
because that's kind of horror, but not really.
Yeah, that's kind of like a little bit.
Soft horror.
Pet Sematary is Stephen King, so it's like,
oh yeah,
it's like, it's out there, and really, like, that guy's got some kind of mind.
He's got quite imagination. The one I actually saw from Stephen King, I did like it, because it wasn't really that much of a horror, anyways. It was the one with the village. I think it might just be called The Village. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Was that the one? Wait, is it a Stephen King movie?
I believe it's Stephen King. Stephen King also wrote The Shining and all that kind of stuff, right?
There's all kinds of freakiness.
Anyways, there was this one about this village that's like out in the middle of nowhere, but it's not too bad. So it's kind of like not so much a horror as it's like, imagine if this happened.
Was that the one where they thought they were in like back in time or whatever?
Yes. It was like the 1900s basically. Yeah,
that was.
And then all of a sudden,
M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, that was M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah, that's M. Night. You're right. That is M. Night. Shyamalama. That's what it is. M. Night Shyamalama.
Shyamalama.
That's right.
Ooh, Gremlins, the first one. Yeah. I was scared.
When you were 7. You were scared for months. Oh my gosh. I remember watching little parts of Gremlins when I was about that age, and my mom turned it off, and I was like, why? And I was like, she's like, that's not for kids. I was like, okay.
But it's so cute. He's like a little stuffed animal.
Yeah. He just terrorized those people, but he looked cute. I don't know what he was doing with the blender before you turned it off.
Oh,
yeah.
What fun. Well, now that we've talked about horror movies.
Yeah. Well, we were just trying to buy time, but it looks like Marshmallow might not be coming back. So if anybody else has a question or comment or a topic they like us to talk about, concern specifically, we'd love to cover it. But since no one else has got one immediately, want to do Baka Breakers?
We can.
Why not? This is also from Baka Breaker. And it's called
Harmony says I have one.
Oh, wait, Harmony, do you have one? Feel free to. Oh, wait, am I being requested to sing It's Not Like I Like You?
Not just your part, though. You don't have to sing Amory's part.
No.
I can do this part. No, that sounds really stupid.
Yeah, this sounds really stupid. But.
Fine, Baka Taco.
Yeah, that's right. That's those are the best lines, anyways.
I know. That my favorite. I'll never forget the first time when I heard her say, "No, that sounds really stupid." I laughed so hard.
That sounds really stupid. I mean, it does. Oh, that was great.
You guys
I
did
also like the
great job.
okay, I think you're a little dense. I really don't like all that talk. Yeah, I think it was like just the perfect okay.
Yep. But that was a very interesting scenario. Like, okay, if I'm gonna take a girl out on a date, we're gonna rent a boat and find a bunny and feed it some kale. Like, that's our date.
Good
like,
luck. Good luck. Yeah.
Oh my.
I mean, you could fight sea bunnies, but you'd have to swim pretty far down.
No, that sounds stupid.
Yeah, that sounds pretty stupid.
Yeah, get Cheeto crumbs on me? No way.
No way. Yeah, that's definitely my favorite section of the song. I just love the melody there. The way that it changes up. The chord progression. It's all good. I like that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
There's some amazing covers.
Should we oh, Kendra's here.
Kendra.
Kendra's
Sweet.
today.
Kendra, we have one from you and we're just going to go right into it, all right? Welcome.
Yay.
Okay, so the problem is Harmony, I don't want to sing it because then we'd just be sitting here listening to me sing instead of doing the show. And then Joe would have to be silent while I do it, so it's a bit weird.
I like listening to you sing.
Yeah, but you could just do that any time.
I do. And I do anytime.
You do anytime. Any way you want.
Because I have recordings. I have recordings of Static P on flash drive.
Ooh. Have you guys seen that? The flash drive? Boom.
We never did like a Christmas sale at the store. We needed to do that or something.
We should do that, huh?
On CD.
And you can even listen to me on book. Wait, never mind. That doesn't make sense.
Yep.
But you can read the lyrics and pretend I'm singing them.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can sing your part in my head.
Ooh.
Harmony says I can sing the girl part.
Okay.
Great.
I believe you.
But.
Yeah. When she did that, it was a joke, and I was like, "No, I'm leaving it in." She's like, "No, don't leave it in." I'm like, "I'm leaving it in. It's adorable, okay?" And she's like, "Okay, fine, whatever." And then it's a lot of people's favorite parts. And I was like, "I knew it would be. It's so good."
Yes. All right. Well, let's move on to Kendra's.
Yes,
let's
please.
do that. Princess already posted the link. She posted the link so far ago. Like, I got it. Oh my gosh. Look.
Kendra. Sorry for being all over the place with this show, guys. But here we are. This one is from Kendra. Thank you so much for asking this, Kendra. It's titled Problem in Work and Helping Myself. Problems in Work and Helping Myself. And Princess is going to do the honors of reading it for us.
Hey everyone. I haven't been sleeping well at all lately, so I apologize in advance if there's any mistakes or if something doesn't make any sense. There's no question here, just a rant, I guess you could say. Sorry for how long this is. After Thanksgiving break, I went back to my job at NDP, and even though I didn't get any rest and was almost late, I went in and tried my best to have a good attitude. Well, as soon as I got to work, the air felt heavy and not cheerful at all. The only person who seemed cheerful at all was a lady who I was actually enjoying working with because she didn't treat me as if I am 16 and not 24. Anyway, one manager was in the back on pizza duty, while another one was up front doing salads and all that. I was looking around for something to do, and to the others it may have seemed like I was zoning out or even watching the TV, but I wasn't. I was actually trying to remember what all I could be doing. And one manager in the back was yelling at me saying, "Kendra, your job is phone/float. That's your only job, so either do it or you can walk out that door right now." I was shocked because she had never yelled at me before, and honestly, I had to just nod my head and walk to the corner where the phone was and do a breathing exercise to calm myself down because I felt like I was going to have a breakdown. I did my job today and the best I could, and I felt like everything I did wasn't good enough. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt and just say she was having a bad day or was stressed about something, but there's a part of me that doesn't want to believe that. The other manager that was making a salad at one point and had to ask me to throw out the lettuce that was in one tub and get a new one. Well, with her wearing a mask and my brain taking forever to process what she said, she repeated what she said a couple of times and just had the tone of, did I stutter? In my head, I was like, I'm sorry that my hearing isn't good and my brain takes longer to process stuff than you. I kept quiet and went and got it done. There was more that happened, but let's just say I'm wanting to be done. As soon as I walked out the door after my shift, tears started going down my face, and as soon as I got into the car, I burst out in full crying. I stayed there for a few minutes before I drove home, and sat outside with the cats and cried. And I went in and went to my room and cried some more. My brother was home from school thanks to senior privileges, and now he has a college-like course going on. I'm guessing he noticed how I wasn't looking at him because the next thing I knew when I got back from washing my face in the bathroom was my mom had tried to call my phone. I didn't eat anything and just drank a yogurt drink, and that was it. I just wasn't hungry even though it was like 2 and I hadn't eaten breakfast or lunch. I felt like I couldn't breathe and my chest felt so tight. After a while, I calmed down, and Pink Stylist posted a tweet about playing Jackbox games on his Twitch, so I joined in. Playing the game with him on livestream really helped cheer me up. But after I got off a few rounds, I just scrolled through TikTok and watched some YouTube. My dad got home and he called through my door asking me what I wanted to eat. I told him nothing because I just couldn't stomach anything. Even though I felt hungry, I just couldn't eat. My dad asked if I had had a bad day at work, and all I told him was that I don't want to talk about it at the moment. Dad left, and a while later, my mom came into my room and hugged me, and I ended up crying while hugging her. I just couldn't stop, and after a while, I told her everything. She said, I could tell that NDP wasn't the right fit for you. Same way when you worked at Jack's. My mom told me that just to finish up with the Christmas season so that I have money for presents and whatnot, because once January comes, then Eatin' Treats will start opening back up again, and I can help out with the cleaning up and arranging things. I told my mom that I need to see a doctor about everything. More specifically, I need to see a therapist because I can't keep doing things like this. She said she'll help me sign up to get some health insurance since I don't have any, so that I might be able to go and see one. First things first, though, we're going to call my cousin and see if she can get my hair cut because I haven't been able to get into any salons at all. My hair is not helping me with how I'm feeling. It's just too long and annoying. I also have to talk to my mom, saying that I want to be able to travel and sell my art in some way. The town I'm in is just far too small, and I won't get very far if I stay. Right now, I'm counting down the days until I can leave this job, and if I leave it earlier than intended, I will. Anyways, thank you for listening, and sorry again for how long this is. God bless/love, Kendra. Update. It is Tuesday, December 1st, the day after that terrible Monday. The lady I was working with apologized to me and told me what the one manager did was not called for. The manager had misunderstood her when she had told her that I was going to do the salads like she said I couldn't do, or that I'd be informing her that she was needed for making salads. And so the manager ended up yelling at me. The manager apologized to everyone but me since I wasn't there. This still doesn't change my mind about leaving this job at the end of December. From Kendra.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Kendra, for sharing. We appreciate the inside look in your life, and I like how thorough you are with your examples and well, your stories and everything like that. I think that's really helpful to us, but also helpful to you. I think that getting things off your chest helps a lot sometimes. So it's totally fine if you wanna vent and stuff. There are so many. I've had multiple jobs, and so has Joe. And one of the things is we've worked these jobs while going, this is just a job, and I don't want to be here the rest of my life. So I totally get the sentiment of like, it's only this many days before I can leave, and then it's over with. And that actually helped out a lot, in some ways, and in other ways maybe it didn't. But I think that it can be helpful to, in the moments of when people aren't treating you right. You can just think like, you know what, it's whatever. I'm not going to be here forever. This will be gone in the next couple of months or whatever, and just be like, it's whatever. Like you can treat me this way. I don't care, because I'm going to be out of here. So yeah, I totally feel that, and it does kind of help when you have a really stinky job. Some people can make a job just terrible, and some people can make a job great. Just like teachers, you can have a teacher that makes the classroom a wonderful experience, and you can have a couple of students that make, regardless of how awesome the teacher is, they just make the class terrible. So people can really set the attitude around them. And once again, I remind you that, you know, it's important to be a good attitude, to be a shining light wherever you go to work, because it helps other people to start being that light as well. I think it's good that you are able to, as soon as you went into the store, you could notice the heavy air, you could feel the attitude not being high.
Mm-hmm.
And it immediately was very apparent, and then it was pushed onto you. When things like that happen, you have to just immediately go like, this isn't my fault that they're upset, but they're gonna yell at me, and it's gonna be gross. It's gonna be the bad side of human nature coming out onto me today, and it's not my fault. So I just have to prepare myself for whatever abuse comes my way. Just smile and take it and be like, this will be over, because it's all you can do. Otherwise, you end up breaking down and you think something's your fault when it's not, or you feel like you're helpless and you're hopeless to change anything or fix anything, and that sucks. So it's important to sometimes just go, today's going to be one of those days, but that doesn't mean I have to be down. So, but it's good that the person apologized to you. I'm happy about that. The other one apologized to everyone but you, but it's whatever. People are people. So anyways, with that, I'm going to give it over to Joe. I'm sure Joe has a lot of great things to say about this. So Joe, take it away.
Yeah, well, what you're saying is absolutely true, Ryan. Like it may not be your fault, what's going on. Like you may have nothing to do with their stressed out, bad attitude. And Kendra posts here in the chat, I found out also the manager is also going through a divorce. So that's with that going on in the background of somebody's life, that is going to impact everything, all other areas of their life. They will feel that stress. They will bring it with them wherever they go, right? And that's an interesting thing, because, anytime somebody's under a lot of pressure or stress or going through a difficult situation, it kind of happens that way, that they're a little bit more snappy, or a little bit more easily angered, or whatever. Like that just kind of tends to be the case. So it's interesting. I've dealt with some interesting relationships, both in workplace and in personal life, and all kinds of stuff. And I remember coming to the conclusion at one point in time with this particular individual that I was like, you know what? There are two things I know are going to happen right now with this situation. And I know, and it's hands down, I know this is the case. One, I'm going to do the best I can, because, I always try to do the best I can. I don't usually do something halfway. If I can do something, I try hard at it, and so that was one thing. One, I'm going to try as best I can. And two, it's not going to be good enough for this person. Those are the two things I just know. and you get to this point, it's like, I remember coming to that conclusion, and at first I was kind of depressed about it and kind of upset about it. It's kind of like, like, oh man, no matter what I try, it's not going to be enough. And it's like, wait a second. And then as I thought about it some more, I just kind of started laughing. Because I was like, oh, well then, it's good enough for me. I'm trying my hardest. I'm doing the best I can. I'm sincerely doing the best I can. It's not like I'm, sometimes when people say I'm trying my best, it's like a cop out. Well, I try my best, and it's like they're just kind of copping out, But like if you're legit trying your best and then and if it's not good enough for another person, well, it's like I just kind of started laughing. I'm like, well, that stinks for them then. Because imagine, okay, if my best efforts aren't going to satisfy them, here's another thing I know. It's not my job to satisfy them. That's outside my wheelhouse. It's not my responsibility. And Kendra, I know you're a Christian. So I also know that that it's not your job to satisfy anybody else. That's between them and God. Satisfaction is between you and God. That your satisfaction, right? That's it. It's not anybody else's job to do that for you. And it's not my job to do that for anybody else. So, I just do the best I can to help out as best I can.
Do everything to facilitate the happiness, but you can't control it.
Exactly. So it's very liberating to get to that point when you're like, oh, their happiness is not up to me. This manager, their happiness is not up to you. It has nothing to do with how well you do performing your job at any given moment on any given day. So you can just kind of sit back and be like, well, hey, what's it going to be like today? Are we going to get an entertainment show of emotion? I know that's probably wrong. But I do remember, I remember saying, this is going to be bad. I'm sorry, but maybe this will help. And I don't recommend you go and tell people this kind of thing to them, but it's helpful to say it in your head. When someone's just yelling at you or berating you or whatever, I'll just be like, okay, I'll just sit here until the noise stops.
Dude, that was like my childhood. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Now I just can't do anything else. So, yep. Are you done? Cool. Thanks.
Sit here till the noise.
It's just that's all I can say about this. Yes, I am listening. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And understand, there's nothing permanent. You know this. So looks like, hey, you're leaving at the end of December. You could get a calendar and you could mark off the days. You could X them off. You could be like, hey man, one more day, one more. Oh, I'm one day closer. I remember I used to say that about some jobs before I even knew I was going to be quitting anytime soon. There were some days when I'd look at the calendar and be like, hey, that's one more day closer. One day closer to being done. I used to work at a company called Marshall Music. I probably shouldn't say the name, but whatever. They can deal with it. And I remember hanging out with a bunch of people from work at Marshall Music, and I was a band instrument repairman, right? And there were at this gathering of people, there were two other guys who used to do my job. And so they were like, hey, Marshall Music employees, yeah. And then these other guys were like, hey, former Marshall Music employees, yeah. And I went, hey, future former Marshall Music employee.
Future former wife. Oh my gosh.
And I was early on. I was like, it was years before I left that job. But even still, I was like, I understood nothing's permanent. You know? Nothing. It's all temporary here. And there's beauty in that. Because that means because it's not going to last forever, you can look forward to it being over. And you can also put everything you have, put your best effort into it and make it worthwhile. Because otherwise it's not worthwhile. If you just kind of, meander through, you look back on that time and, hey, it'll just be some time you spent. But if you try, you'll make it worth your while. You will create some memories and you'll learn some stuff that you can bring with you into your next adventure. So if you treat these experiences you're having, these challenges, you can treat them as learning experiences and you can be like, okay, what's the lesson here? What's the value add here? What can I gain from experiencing this challenge? Because it's like in the beautiful words of the movie Meet the Robinsons. Through failure, we learn. Through success, not so much. And I would say that same thing, except for when things are hard, when things are bad, when we're struggling, we learn. When we're not so much. So these challenges are valuable. They're valuable experiences. And they can also be sacrifices, which makes them even more beautiful. So if you can turn your mind to understand the benefit of these challenges and the benefit of these struggles, Ryan has said some beautiful things about the beauty of pain and what it can mean for your life. If we can adopt that mentality, then we almost go in looking forward to a struggle and looking forward to a challenge because we're like, hey, then I'm actually going to grow. If it's not a struggle, I'm probably not going to grow as much. I may grow some, but not as much as I could if it was a struggle. So anyway, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan because I've said plenty. So Ryan, take it away.
All right. Yeah, I can attempt to do that. It's an interesting thing. Sometimes we go through these things, and it feels like we're pushed to our limit. Joe was just talking about, growing through that struggle. And I wonder sometimes if we're pushed to our limit so that our limit can expand. If you get overwhelmed by your emotions, that's very much your personality. You're the type of person that your emotions are strong influencers on your actions, how you feel, and those type of things. And what goes on and how people treat you has a huge impact on how you feel, right? Sometimes when that thing hits us, right, when that emotion hits us, usually like sadness, sorrow, maybe being angry or just hopeless or whatever it is, and you break down and cry, right? It's like you've met your peak, you've met your threshold, right? And so your hope is kind of like God is giving you these so that your threshold can expand, not so that your emotions aren't as good, right? Like one of the things you said was that you have people coming in to replace you soon, which is great. And you are saying that because you're worried about the people that work there, because you have a huge heart and you care about the people that work there and you want them to have an easy life. You want them to have a good life. You don't want work to be just terrible to them. And so you're glad that people are coming in to fulfill the position which you will be leaving. I mean, that really speaks volumes to the compassion that you have in your heart, right? And so the goal is not to reduce that compassion so that you don't get emotional. The goal is to increase the threshold at which point you are overwhelmed by your emotion, right? To allow yourself to have the emotion but not overwhelmed by it is good because it allows you to feel and be empathetic and compassionate, but still take logical action towards it, to still take meaningful, compassionate action towards it without being so overwhelmed that you can no longer act, right? So when you face these things that overwhelm you, try to remember this and think, okay, I need to increase that point at which I'm overwhelmed. This is my goal here. This is why this is why I'm experiencing these things, because I'm strong and I have great compassion, but I need to become a little stronger in this area, right? You have many strengths, and this is one of the areas where I think that maybe maybe God is trying to say, hey, you can improve a little bit here at which point are you overwhelmed? Because the higher that is, the more you can take on in life and feel that compassion for, feel the emotion, but not stop doing good things through it, right? Because you can experience something, and as long as you don't lose control of yourself, you can continue to do wonderful things in the sorrow. You can do good things with that pain that you're experiencing or that other people are experiencing around you. When someone is having a hard time and they lash out on you, right? You can be instantly overwhelmed, and you can choose to unfortunately do nothing about it except for feel that inner sorrow. Or you can take that moment and say, hey, there's something going on. Do you want to talk about it? If you don't, that's fine. But you're clearly upset, and I know I'm not the one that caused it, right? You can pull the person aside and say, hey, if you need to talk about something, I'm here, and I want to help you through it. That doesn't necessarily always work, but what it can do is it can make them feel like someone cares about them. And the feeling of someone caring about them does so much good, right? In those moments that you're struggling, one of the main reasons that you struggle with that emotion is like, it's that feeling of like, does no one care about me? They treat me like this. They don't care about me, right? And that's kind of like part of what makes it so hard. But if in that moment where you get the feeling that no one cares about you, if you reach out to others and say, hey, I care about you, you'll find that they react with a sense of, thank you. I care about you too. Now get back to work. And it kind of calms the air. It calms the aggression. It doesn't necessarily make everything better. There might be still like that heaviness in the air, but you have this sense of courage and fortitude to make it through the rest of the day without feeling upset. And it makes it feel like I did something good in that moment. In life, we get all these challenges, right? And the victory in almost anything, in any kind of fight, the victory doesn't come from winning the battle. The victory comes from the good that we do and the good which we fight with during the battle, right? Because as we fight anything in our life, we're taking actions of good actions to fight that thing, right? That goodness is a gift to the world. That goodness creates more goodness in the world. It isn't winning the battle that creates the victory. It's all of the good actions which are built upon the battle. When you do something good for someone, despite it being a war, right? Those moments are the victory. And so when you are faced with something, when you're faced with a trial, when you're faced with something like people are just berating you or giving you beef for no reason, right? When you turn around or you choose to do something good in that moment, you've done something absolutely victorious. You've done something absolutely glorious, something holy. You've created goodness that did not exist in the world until you chose to just act good in that moment, right? That's a beautiful thing. And those are the moments that make us grow, right? It isn't necessarily always just getting through the trouble or through the trauma or whatever that make us grow. It's our actions in those moments that train us, that show us that there is light within us and we can build upon it, right? And I hope that makes sense. So when you experience these moments of great emotion that feel like they're overcoming you and they're like bad emotions, right? Find some way to inject some amount of good into those moments. Find some way to pull the strength from within you, wherever you can, to do something good for those people or do something good for yourself, or to be a gift to the world in some way or another, because that action will be a victory, and that action will start to shape how you feel. You'll start to be able to overcome the trial, because those are the things that help you overcome trials is when you take action towards good in the face of darkness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that makes sense. It's hard to get across what I mean. It's really difficult to like say exactly what I mean, but I think you get it, right? And so I hope that you can find the strength and the courage to act out in those moments when you feel repressed, when you feel like you're just hopeless, to take any way you can, to find a way you can, any way you can, to just do something that is good. Because that is the most beautiful thing you can do, right? Because here's the thing, at the end of our lives, it's not what happens to us that decides whether we're a good person or a bad person, right? I could make a video, right? And it could get 1 billion views. That doesn't make me a good person. It doesn't. I could make a video and get 0 views. It doesn't change whether I'm a good person or a bad person. Mm-hmm. Those are things that happen to my video or happen to me, right? But that doesn't change who I am, right? I can let it change who I am in a bad way or a good way, but that doesn't make me who I am, right? What makes me who I am is what I'm choosing to act upon. So if I make a video and the video's intention is to do good for the world, right? To help people see, new ways of thinking about things, to progress science, to progress humanity in one way or another, to help people overcome an issue, or to, I don't know, mow someone's lawn for free. It doesn't even matter, right? It's like, hey, I went around to houses and mowed their lawn for free. Watch what happens. Silly videos like that, they exist. It's a good thing to do. It's good natured, right? That's what makes you a good person. It isn't the video that you release, and it isn't the amount of people that watch it. It's the action, right? So when you're in these moments and people treat you like dirt, that doesn't mean you are dirt, right? You are who you are regardless of how people treat you. You are who you are regardless of what people say about you. But you get to decide who you are by every step that you take. So in those moments, you can continue to build upon yourself a temple of glory and holiness through your actions. And that is really deep theology because I use the word temple, but don't worry about it. Or you can react to it in an evil way. You can lash out at people. You can argue with them back. You can say, rude things to people, right? And what do you build upon yourself when you do that? What are you becoming, right? The beautiful thing is that you aren't choosing to take that action. You aren't choosing to receive evil and then eject evil back out. Instead, you're receiving evil and getting overwhelmed and choosing to do nothing. But then, after time, you choose to do what is good, right? So even though you might be overwhelmed with the emotion, after time passes, right, you talk to your mom about it and you're trying to make good choices. That's who you are. You're a good person, right? That's awesome. In the face of all of the, temptation to react to people in terrible ways, you're choosing not to. You're choosing not to react that way. And that makes you a beautiful person, right? A part of doing good is denying that which is bad. But also, then it takes that extra step. It's like, what can you do that is good in those moments? If you can live in a world where you're experiencing these bad things and you're not taking it to heart and saying, okay, now I have to react to that. Instead, you're just like, wait a minute, what can I do to do good here? What can I do to change people's attitude? What can I do in this moment to help them and help myself not get caught up in this? Suddenly you find yourself no longer being tempted by the evil spirits within the situation, right? You no longer find yourself being tempted by your emotions to shut down. Instead, you find yourself going, that's interesting. I feel sorry for these people. What can I do? And it takes all of the pressure off of you. Suddenly you find like, wait a minute, I don't feel any pressure anymore. The only pressure I feel is like, all right, let's come up with an idea. Let's make this work. It's amazing. I know that Joe's probably experienced this as well. I know I have many times. My brother has. There's lots of people who've experienced this where it's like suddenly all the weight of the world is on you and you just in an instant turn around. You're just like, wait a minute. What can I do to help these people? Instead of worry about how I feel like at this moment about people picking on me, like who cares? Mm-hmm. I am who I am and it doesn't matter how they treat me. I am who I am and I know I'm good. So what can I do in this moment? You just flip the coin. Instead of worrying about how you are treated, you just worry about what can I do to treat others good, to help train them to learn how to be good people. What can I do to be a good example? Suddenly, all the pressure's off. All that emotion swiped away. It's just like, wow. Suddenly you almost feel at peace. It's amazing. So I hope that helps. But I'm going to give it back over to Joe and see if he's got anything he wants to add on to that.
Man, I don't know what I could say to follow that. That was incredible. There was so much wisdom packed in there. I do love what you were talking about, that, you know, like the victory in a battle of any type is not winning the battle, but it's really like what you were talking about though. And it, you know, one of the ways I've heard it said was it's victory over yourself. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh, the cams froze apparently.
Oh, dang it.
Let's take a look at that.
Yeah, do I at least look really funky and awkward?
Interesting. So I just I'm on YouTube right now and it's not frozen. Huh. No longer frozen. Okay.
Oh, okay, well there we go.
So they froze for a second and then they're not. That's good. Okay. Must have been a YouTube thing because everything on my screen was okay. But all right. So Kendra, here's one thing. You are already winning in this situation because you have the courage to go back. Even if it's just for December. I mean, even though, you know, like, hey, my days are numbered here, but you're still following through. You didn't just say like, I'm never going back after that experience. You're like, okay, I'm going back. That courageous act was a victory. We sell ourselves short a lot of times. You know, sometimes when there's a saying I've heard, somebody said, don't ever fall in love with reading your press clippings. What does that mean?
Oh, that is so true.
Don't ever fall in love with reading what people say about you or listening to what people say about you, or don't get too caught up in what the world says about you or anything like that. Or even if you have a bunch of accomplishments. So for one, okay, don't get too caught up in what people say about you if they're saying bad things about you, because I mean that doesn't tell you how valuable you are. Just like Ryan said, you know, it's like, hey, I'm who I am, you know, it doesn't matter what they think about me, right? And so it's a temptation for us to let our minds go there. And, you know, it's not a bad thing to think about that once in a while and kind of gauge our performance off of what other people say or how other people react sometimes, because it can give us insight into how well we're doing, you know, but we can't get too caught up in what other people say about us, or else we lose track of our true selves. because who we are isn't what other people say about us. And on the other side, I think even more dangerous is when you're having a bunch of successes and then you start reading your press clippings.
Yeah, that's...
And
you can see a lot of Disney people that went bad because of that.
yeah. So true. So true. And that's absolutely the point. Like if you're having lots and lots of success, you know, like people are going to say all kinds of great things about you and all this great, wonderful, wonderful stuff, right? And maybe you're making a huge difference in the world, and then all of a sudden, man, you get caught up into that. And then when it starts to not happen again anymore, you fall hard. Or you just turn into this arrogant person. Or maybe apathetic or whatever. But I mean, but the way you got there was the same. Whether people are saying good things about you or bad things about you, or even good things to you or bad things to you, when we get caught up in that too far, we end up being damaged as a result. Now, we can redeem that damage, and that's okay. You know, we can learn through these experiences, for sure. But the true victory, Kendra, is what you exhibited in the courage to go back, the courage to get up and go back, the courage to fight again. And that's where it's at. Because we're going to get knocked down. It's going to happen again in some other context, in some other way. You're going to get nailed. But can you get back up? And then the other question is, can you turn this into a strengthening experience where it's like, okay, can I endure just a little bit more next time? Can I be a little bit stronger next time? And it doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have to be a big, massive change overnight, but just a little bit, little steps. And those little steps eventually add up to you not even recognizing who you are anymore. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have grown so much. Like these things that I'm handling like they're nothing used to incapacitate me. It'll happen. And it might take years, and that's okay. But when you have the courage to do it again and to continue, that's the real victory. So with that, I'm turning it back to Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have a whole lot to say or add, but thank you, Joe. Appreciate that follow-up. Very good, and it's super, super important. Yeah, Kendra, I hope that that's helpful. I hope that you got to at least feel a little encouraged by everything. I think a lot of that you already know, right? That's the truth of it. You're a smart girl. You know what's going on. Mm-hmm. But sometimes just a little bit of perception or difference or a little bit of encouragement can go a long way. So hopefully we provided that to you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, thanks, Kendra, for asking and being a part of this. We have like 27 minutes left now. So
17.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Jeez, I went the wrong way with my math. 17 minutes left. I saw the 4 and I was like, that's 20, and then there's 2, so that's 7, so it's 27, and I'm like, no, Ryan, I think it was the other way.
Kendra,
yeah, 17
awesome.
minutes left.
Thank you for the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Marshmallow's here.
Sky Lanterns is an underrated song. I like that one a lot. Yeah, Marshmallow. Do you want to do marshmallows? Do you think we have time to do it justice?
I like marshmallows.
Okay, I like marshmallows too. His topic is called finding balance. Do you want to do it?
Sure.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure it's okay with you because of the time frame. Yeah. Marshmallow. This one's from you. Thanks for coming back and joining us. This is titled Finding Balance. And Princess, would you please read it for us?
You betcha.
You betcha.
Oh, geez.
My topic is about finding balance. How do you find the line between working and being responsible, but relaxing and taking care of yourself? And what are the red flags that you're falling onto one side? From Marshmallow.
Very interesting. Yeah. How do you find the line between working and being responsible? Yeah. Versus relaxing and taking care of yourself, that kind of stuff. That's a fantastic question. And I think that that's something, that's really important that we all have to figure out for ourselves. And I think it's one of those things, if we don't pay attention to that, we end up without balance at all. We end up one side of the fence or the other. Generally for me would probably be relaxing because that's my nature. For someone who's task oriented, their natural attraction would be being a workaholic. So
Ryan and I fall on opposite ends of this spectrum.
Yeah, so that's good for you. We can talk about that. So one way or another, we're gonna hit you. But yeah, this is a great topic, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Joe's got to say about it. So
there is no such thing as balance. I remember a guy saying that one time. He was like, "There's no such thing as balance." It really, I don't know if you ever get perfectly balanced, and if you do, it's just at this one moment. And then you're tipping again.
It's
right?
like, oh, I did it. Oh, shoot. No. Okay, I did it again. Yeah.
So right. But you can, to some degree, find a way. And a lot of it is going to come to trial and error. Okay? So really, I mean, part of the, oh, geez. How do I approach this? Part of the one of the things you're going to have to do in order to actually do this properly is you're going to have to be honest with yourself and not fake yourself out, I guess, because I have always been really good at faking myself out and looking at a situation and faking myself out about it. Like basically It was really just lying to myself. Like, where I'm like, oh, it's not all that bad. And then, yeah, it actually is. Okay. So, all right. So Ryan talked about a task-oriented person generally leans toward working more. That's definitely me. I work a lot. And, I enjoy it. It energizes me and stuff like that. But I still need to have time for relaxing. I still need to have time to spend with my kids, my wife. There are things that need to be done. Now, one of the cool things is that when I can figure out some kind of work involved in that leisure. So martial arts has been one of those things for me where when I first started doing martial arts, it was something that I could do with my kids. That was it. Both of them are black belts. My oldest son became a black belt a year ago. My youngest son became a black belt 6 months ago, and now it's my turn to test, right, in 2 days. So, so they have progressed farther than me. Because they got started sooner than me, right? But that began as just, hey, I didn't have a whole lot of time to spend with my kids, and it was something where they were going to be doing that, and if I could do that with them, that's time I got to spend with them. And that was great. And it's been great this whole time. It's something we can share. It's shared experiences and stuff like that, right? But it's from one angle, it's been work because it's training. But from another side, it's leisure because I'm not at work doing my job. The kids aren't at school doing their job as kids. When you're a kid, your job is basically school. But it's outside of that, and we're together doing something that we enjoyed. And that was great. But then sometimes you just need to veg out. Maybe play some video games, watch a movie, read, just rest, meditate, whatever. And that's where, for someone like me who tends to be on the workaholic side, who tends to, just go crazy, I have found a morning routine to be so helpful in that. So maybe this will help somebody who leans more toward relaxation as well. I don't know. But for me, when I get up early and spend some time in meditation, some time in just thinking, some time in reading, in journaling, just some things where I'm not really working, but I'm not inactive, if that makes sense, right? I mean, if you watched me do this, you would think, boy, that's just lazy time because he's sitting there with his eyes closed. Is he awake even? I don't even know. But I'm either in prayer or I'm just meditating. I'm just clearing my mind. Or maybe I'm visualizing. How I want my future to be, or I'm visualizing how I'm going to have my day go, or I'm visualizing the completion of a project or whatever, right? But there is that time for doing that. And then a lot of times, when it gets to be about dinner time, I kind of start to tire a little bit and I need to just kind of sit there, eat, not do anything, and relax, right? And I have found for me that to kind of, I have my work in the middle of the day where I do a lot of work, right? But then at the beginning of my day, I have quiet time of relaxing. And at the end of my day, also the same thing. So before I go to bed, I kind of repeat part of my morning routine in reverse. But I don't do all the components, right? I don't do everything, but it's just kind of like a mini version. But I kind of set myself up to go to sleep as I set myself to wake up, right? And so when I bookend my day with that, I find that I get that rest, that restful time while I'm conscious. It's not just sleeping, right? But it's still relaxing and it's restful. And that for me has been amazingly helpful. So that's the insight I have on trying to balance, other than it's a work in progress. You try stuff and you make adjustments as you see how things work and how things don't work. And you latch onto something that works a little bit and you run with it. And then you see if you can make some improvements on it. And that's kind of how I tend to operate. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan. Ryan?
All right, sure. Thanks, Joe. You asked one of the things like, what are the red flags on falling on one side or the other, right? And I think that for all of us, we're built with something. We're built with a mechanism in our mind. It's really helpful. Some people like to ignore it. It's called our conscience. I think our conscience can be a really good indicator. If you're ever doing anything and you think to yourself, like you get a moment away from it and all of a sudden you get this feeling of like, what am I doing? Or you get this feeling of like, shouldn't I be doing this more? Shouldn't I be hanging out with these people more? Like, that's your conscience speaking sometimes and being like, hey, excuse me, you might want to take a break. You might want to go hang out with some people, or you might want to, get away from work so you can spend time with people that, matter to you in your life. That can happen. And I think it goes the other way absolutely a lot too. You're goofing around, you're having fun, you're enjoying yourself, entertainment or self-time or whatever, taking care of yourself. And you have your conscience go like, what are you doing? Like, what am I doing? Am I wasting my whole day? Or you have that feeling of like, you do something and then you're done and you're like, well, that wasn't that enjoyable. So maybe I need to get a snack. Or maybe that wasn't really that enjoyable. So maybe I just need to find a different video that's more fun. And then you're like, if you ever experience yourself doing that, you got to be like, wait, No, the problem is that's just not enjoyable. The problem is I'm emotionally or my enjoyment chemicals in my brain are all burnt out. The reason I didn't enjoy that very much, and I feel like I need more at the end of it, sometimes that's an indicator of like, so if you ever finish doing something and you're like, I need more of that because that wasn't fulfilling, you feel that emptiness inside of you. That's your conscience telling you like, hey, we're burnt out up here. You need to go find some work to do. Um, because you're not enjoying things because you know better. You know you should probably be doing something else, or you should be working on something else. So that's a good indicator. I think that that red flag that pops up is your conscience, and it can be really helpful in guiding you towards what you should be doing with your time. As far as like scheduling yourself, I think Joe has good examples of that. And one thing you can do, like Joe suggested, is put the two together. I think that that's really great if you can find ways to put both, like the act of taking care of yourself and working, or the act of finding enjoyment and working at the same time. Good stuff. I find that meditation or prayer is one of those things where you're both relaxing and finding that peace at the same time as you are doing something really productive, right? So meditation and or prayer is one of those dual components where it's like you're taking care of yourself and you're relaxing at the same time as you're doing really fundamental work in your brain, and you're figuring things out so that your day will move smoothly, that you will enjoy yourself inside, and have a good relationship with yourself. So it's really important. Now, of course, then there are physical things we need to work on, so you can't do that all the time. But that is one of those things that I find is super productive, and it's like one of the mixed. It's enjoyable and productive. But also, there are things that just aren't enjoyable that you have to do, and trying to find joy in them can really help. Trying to find pride or joy in the work itself can really help you do them more and enjoy them more, of course, but it helps with the sense of balance. Because if you're like me and you would love to do nothing, like doing nothing is fantastic. I love doing nothing. I love to just sit there and think and do nothing. I love it. And it's just like a lot of people can't relate. But I love nothing. It's just, hey, you guys want to go on a vacation? Yes, please. I'll do nothing, please. They're like, no, we're going to go. No, please don't. I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to sit in my bedroom. I just want to sit in my bedroom and stare at the wall and watch imaginary paint dry. Like, please. That's my vacation. My top vacation right there. So, yeah, I'm not a person that likes to do things, right? I enjoy the act of not doing, which is really weird. I think a lot of people don't think that makes sense at all, but it doesn't sound like it makes sense coming out of my mouth, but it's true. So if you're anything like me, which I know that's not your personality, Marsh, but to anybody who is, finding tasks which allow you to explore your mind, that allow you to be creative, that allow you to enjoy yourself while you do them, are very fulfilling. And so taking those steps really helps you find that balance of work and relaxing, because it becomes something you want to do. It compels you to find that balance because it compels you forward in the areas of life that you tend to stay away from. So that's another tip. Marshmallow is if just to explain it to Joe and to anybody else who may understand personalities well, Marshmallow is an outgoing, people-oriented person from all that I can tell. So his personality is, he probably likes to have fun. He likes to enjoy himself. And work might not always be the easiest, being responsible, but I think that he is a responsible person. He's like, heck yeah, I am. Yeah. See.
Nice.
And so for you, I'm guessing that work life is the harder side. So finding fun in the work will help compel you to do it, which will help you balance it out a little bit more. And if fun in work is in many places, if you're out in the farm and you're picking things and you're like, this is what I do all day long. I pick green beans, you know, um, you can find fun in it. You can find fun in your brain, or you can do it with somebody else, and that can be fun, right? If you're a person who enjoys other people being around, do your work with other people. There are a lot of people on the Black Static and Swerve server who are doing their homework with other people who are doing their homework in chat rooms.
Mm.
And the purpose of that isn't to get distracted, but that they actually work better. They work better and they work harder when there's other people present, because they are satisfying one of their needs. One of their core needs is satisfied, and it makes them able to do their work. Because here's the thing, when our core need is not satisfied, it makes it very hard to do the things we don't want to do. Because we're like itching for that core satisfaction first, and we don't have it. So now we're stressed out, right? And it makes everything else way more difficult. So to satisfy your core need, for some people, that's being around people. I know that I think Pear was doing this. I know Princess was doing this, and a couple other people, Raka, a couple other people in the chat room. I think Monkey as well. But anyways, getting together in the Black Static Swerve channel, or sorry, the Static P Friends rather, Static P Friends Discord, and just hanging out, because it makes it a lot easier once your core thing is satisfied, which is basically like hanging out with people, to do the work. And for me, that's actually also true too. I work well when there are other people around. Sometimes I don't like it, but I do work better, which is weird, right? I'm a person that loves to be alone, but at the same time, I also have I'm a people-oriented person, but I'm reserved, so I like being alone. But at the same time, being around people does kind of create that foundation of like, oh, I should be working, and it makes me better at it, which is kind of weird. So these are tips to make yourself work better and help you lean towards because the thing is, you're going to have a certain personality, and your personality is going to have one flaw one way or another. And it's probably for you going to be how much you can work before you decide to get distracted. So for you, I would suggest finding ways to make work more attractive and satisfying your core needs at the same time, so that it allows you to focus on your work easier. That's what I got. I hope that's helpful. I at least hope that it's thought-provoking for you to find your own answer, because we're all going to have different answers here. But Joe, do you have anything else you want to add up to that?
Yeah, I love what you were getting at, because I was trying to think of the red flags, and I know the red flags for being overworked, and generally that's like stress, like you just feel stressed out, you're short-tempered, like you just kind of, like everything gets all tense, and maybe you snap at people more, those are kind of some red flags when it comes to being overworked that I find, right? And then I was trying to think of a red flag for for when you're failing on the relaxation side of things, and Ryan said it. It's like that's amazing, because it's when and I've run into this too, because I've tipped to both sides of this.
Yeah.
And when everything seems unfulfilling, then you're probably being lazy.
Yeah, it's so true. When everything seems to be unfulfilling, it's because you're lazy. Yep.
So the red flag on the overworked side is the stress and the tension and like just this short-temperedness, whereas the red flag on the relaxing side and the maybe overly entertained side is just a drabness, just kind of like everything's just bleh. Nothing's fulfilling, nothing, and at that point it's like, okay, I need to go do something productive, because then I'll feel more fulfilled, right? So anyway, but that was pretty much all that I had on top of that, because I'm really glad you pointed that out, because that is so true. That when you're relaxing too much, when you're getting to that point of being too lazy, it's just everything just kind of bleh. And it's easy to sink into depression that way too.
Yeah.
Which is why I've found one of the antidotes for depression is the very thing you don't want to do, and that's get up and do something. Because when you're depressed, you don't want to do anything. But if you don't do anything, you'll just get more depressed. So eventually you got to figure out how to do something, right? In order to kind of snap yourself out of it. So anyway, but that was beautiful, Ryan. So that's all I had.
You too, Joe. Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you all for joining us today. Our runtime is now 2 hours and 2+ minutes. So yeah, thanks, Princess, by the way, for helping us in with the times and stamps and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're amazing. Thank you, Joe, for being the star of the show.
Hey.
And thank you, chat,
I'm not
for
the star.
being.
You're the guy on the top.
Yeah, but I'm just the host. You're the star, man.
I'm the
Ow,
producer.
you just poked my spleen, dude.
I did. Your
Careful with that
spleen.
finger. That hurt.
Your spleen.
Mm-hmm.
Got the spleen.
Yeah, got me right in the spleen.
Oh boy.
Oh. Oh, for cute.
Oh, for
Anyways,
cute. You
oh,
betcha.
for cute. Oh, you betcha. Like a hot dish. So yeah, thank you guys. You guys in the chat have been awesome. Spreading out your wisdom, your kindness, and your funniness. We appreciate all of you guys.
Oh yeah.
And it's so cool to be here with you guys. Thank you for all of you who have submitted a topic.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to send a topic over the weekend if you run into anything and you want us to talk about it next week. We would love to be here with you for that.
And you can go ahead and play some Duck Duck Grey Duck while you're at it.
Yeah, always. You're welcome to play Duck Duck Grey Duck, which is like Duck Duck Goose, but it's better because it's Duck Duck Grey Duck.
That's right.
That's right. Anyways, you're breathtaking, Magician Jester. But yeah, Hallmark Hero, you were here. Good night.
Fellow spleens.
Man, I hope my spleen doesn't just go to sleep. Wow, that'd be not good. What are you trying to kill us, Helmrock?
Hey.
Okay. All right. We love you guys. See y'all next week. Much love. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See ya.
Peace.